So for today, we're going to be working on shoulder flexion and shoulder extension. So you may need something like a pillow to lay on your side for one of the stretches, and then maybe a desk chair or the bed, something like that that you can use for the other couple stretches. So Kate's probably using your bench.
Hey.
Hello. Okay, so for today, you'll need a block or a pillow, something to lay on your side. We are working our way through shoulder flexion, which is this guy, and shoulder extension, which is this guy. We are going to start with a little bit of rotation to kind of bring a little bit more space into the shoulders. The biggest thing, especially with shoulder flexion, is that we're not working into discomfort on the top of our shoulders. So if you're going up, especially in some of the heavier stretches later, and we don't feel a stretch here and you feel a lot of sensation here, I want you to back off. Even if you don't feel like that's where your shoulder ends, I don't want you to be playing into topside shoulder pain. There's going to be some work done where we actively try to pull into this range of motion, but ultimately sensation-wise, we shouldn't feel anything at the tops of our shoulders, like pain, like closing angle, running out of space sensations. And then Patty, you may need like a bench, or you can even use the wall for some of these things, but something that you can, because one of the stretches we're going to be doing is going to look like this.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, yep. Okay, so we're going to start in a tall kneeling position, and we're going to start with our cars. So hands down at our sides, radiating a little bit of tension, driving those fists towards the floor. So from here, one vertebrae at a time, pulling into that neck cars, looking back, trying to find the back of that armpit, rotate up over the top, find the back of the right armpit, tilt forward, straight back to center. Rotate to your right, tilting back, scrape that chin across the sky, all the way back around and to center. Keep going. Do one more rep. With each stop along the way here, try to see if you can stretch just a little bit further, making sure that our shoulders are staying down towards the floor. We're not doing anything like this, that you guys can still see the logo on your chest. So from here, we're going to go to shoulder blades. So we're going to bring our arms up. We're at about 45 degrees. So imagine there's a person in front of you. You don't want to hug them at any point. We also don't want arms tilting up or down. We want hands kind of even with our shoulder blades the whole time. Okay, so we're going to pull up to our ears, pull them back, slide them down your rib cage, punch them forward. Up to your ears, pull them back, slide them down, punch them forward. So as we go, let's go one more time up. As we start to go back, what we don't want to see is this, right? Because that's just spine. Pull back as far as you can where you get those shoulder blades. And then as you slide them down to the back pocket, rotate them forward. Again, we're not here. It's all in your shoulder blades, okay? We're gonna do spine. So take the knees a little bit wider. Make sure you've got a nice firm base. If kneeling in this position doesn't feel good, you can always stand. So we're gonna cross our arms over our chest, give ourselves a nice big hug, forward flex. So the thing about this position, you guys can keep going with your reps, but the thing about this position is it kind of makes it easy to do this. And now you have to fight to stay up tall. So rotate to your left, extend back, all the way up and over, trying to keep those hips right underneath you the entire time. As you lean back, you're pushing down through the toes to make sure that as you rotate over, lots of crunches today, that you're not ever rocking back or forward. And we're staying strong through those legs, through those hips the whole time. All the way up and across to that back pocket, around and to center. Whew, already warming up. Okay, so we're gonna go to our shoulder cars now. And trust me, we're gonna be doing a lot of shoulders. So for the purpose of this first set of cars, take it easy, slow and controlled, smooth. So we're going to take our right hand, we're going to place it on our left knee. Okay, I want palm up, elbow pit up, bicep up. From here, you're going to slowly start to pull up. Once you get to the point where you basically would hit yourself in the face with your bicep, you're going to start coming back across. As you get here, your end range shoulder flexion. I want you to pay attention to where that is right now. So dump that water bottle out. Reach back as far as you can, all the way until you reach that back pocket or the natural floor. Reaching back again, straight up. This is shoulder extension. Externally rotate to unlock this back half of the cars, all the way around, back across our body, all the way to that left thigh. One more time. Up. Hit that logical endpoint where you have to rotate. From here, dump the water bottle from the armpit as far as you can, because ultimately that's going to unlock this back half here. What you'll notice if you're pushing a little too far, you'll start to do this. And then as you externally rotate to come back around, you're going to rotate open. And what I want to see is like whatever chest orientation you started in, that's where you stay. So that literally like turning a giant doorknob from your shoulder blade all the way around and back to center. Go ahead and switch sides. So left arm going across. Remember, palm is up, elbow pit's up, bicep is up. So again, I don't want to be here because now you've lost my logo. So part of the reason I wore this shirt today is it's kind of like a pseudo Superman logo, but it's very obvious when it's facing you. And it's also very obvious when it faces away. So as we go across our body, I'm squishing them together, but I'm not pulling it across and facing it at the table. So we go up, that logical endpoint there. We get to here, rotate across, reaching back all the way through until you land at that back hip. Reach back. So when you reach back, try to imagine you're reaching for your spine too. Like you have that scratch right in the middle of your spine or that itch. Open up, unlock that back half all the way through until you reach the front. One more time. Up. Come back across your face, bicep to ear as close as you can get without doing stuff like that. Turn the giant doorknob from the shoulder, from the armpit. Reach all the way back and around. Then reach up, reverse. Turn the giant doorknob. Imagine if it's too heavy to do with your wrist, it's too heavy to do with your elbow, you can only do it with your shoulder. All the way back and around. Okay, elbows. So earlier this week, I had the high school lacrosse team take their shoes off and squeeze their shoes, like try to fold their shoes over while they did this. And I felt like that was a good image for how we build tension doing this. So you can do it again with a closed fist. You can do it with your tennis balls, rolled up sock, or even just fold your shoes. If you're like George, you got to get the biggest, bulkiest Jordans that you have and try to crease them. Don't crease your Jordans. So we're up, flexing those elbows. When we get to the top, you're squeezing those biceps, spin it open. So palms are facing me, push down, feel the back of those arms, feel the triceps. Spin the palms open. So now it's elbow pit and palm, but not armpit, right? We're not turning that giant doorknob anymore. Keeping the sweat in your armpits. Good. And now reverse. Back of the hands go up. Open palms to you. Extend down. One more time. Palms are facing the floor. Up and facing me. Spin them to face you. And bring them down. Good. Let's go to wrists. So wrists, we're going to go closed fist. I'm going to turn this way so you can see a little bit better. So with the closed fist, it just allows you to feel this tilt a little bit more. And it also feels when you go too far and the fingers start to roll out. That's, again, you're using fingers, not wrists. So let's pull into wrist extension. Tilt pinky side, like you're going to tilt your pinkies towards each other. Pull up into wrist flexion. Tilt thumb side. Extend. Pinky side up. Thumb side down. Pinky side up. thumb side, down. Very good. Okay, so we're going to stand up and we're going to do hips. I'm going to step back so that I'm still in the frame. And I'm very, very far away, but we're going to start with our left leg. Cross the left leg over right. As you do this, remember, if you sink into your hip, push down through that right leg and get really nice and tall. Cross that leg over, bring it up into our hacky sack. Find that neutral position and try to bring it higher. Remember, this is not at the expense of hips dumping forward. Open up as far as you can where your pockets are still facing forward. So you're looking for a stretch across this area. Start to raise ankle bone to the ceiling, ankle bone to the head. But the knee can start to come down as you reach for that. And as you start to kick back, it's just far enough that you feel your glutes and hamstrings, not so far that you need to start to lean. Remember, now we're going to reverse. So squeeze your butt. Just focus on the butt squeeze. Hold the butt squeeze as you raise that leg as high as you can, like a dog at a fire hydrant. Start to come back to that open gate. Close the gate to neutral. Knee is as high as we can get it. Externally rotate. Again, we're not doing it with the other hip. Externally rotate to that hacky sack. Stab back across. One more time. Up, hacky sack. Neutral. Open gate. Ankle bone to ceiling. Kicking back as we go. Knees together. Bring the knee forward just a little bit and then kick back. Find butt. Open up. All the way to that open gate. Around to neutral. Hacky sack. Stab across. I don't know about you guys, but I'm warming up like crazy right now. Okay, right side. Cross right over left. Start to externally rotate. Nice and strong through that outside leg or inside leg closer to whatever you're supporting. Knee is coming up to that neutral position. Open the gate as far as you can. Start to lift ankle bone to ceiling. Knee is inevitably going to drop as we kick start back. Find that awful crampy sensation in the back of the hip to the best of your ability. Remember, we're not trying to make anything angry. And then kick straight back, find your butt. Lift to that fire hydrant. Start to rotate, keep lifting to that open gate position. Neutral, open to that hacky sack, kick across. One last time, up. Knee to hip flexion. Open the gate, ankle bone to ceiling, kicking back, knees together. Let that knee come forward, kick back, find that hip. Open that gate up. Round. Good, very nice. So then we're gonna finish knees and ankles, and then we're gonna go straight to the fun shoulder work we've been building so much anticipation for. So again, if you're still struggling to find this rotation, we got one finger under each side of your knee, so you can feel the pulleys from your hamstrings causing this knee rotation. So as you see, you can see this bone rotating across your screen. You see how my kneecap is kind of staying straight ahead, but this big section of bone, you can see this guy move, and then you can't see it. And it comes across, and then you can't see it. So we're finding that rotation. So now we're in an externally rotated position. Heel is pointing in towards our midline, toe is pointing out. We're gonna take right hand, we're gonna go under right knee, grab left bicep, take left hand, put it behind the thigh. We're externally rotating, we're extending, internally rotating, flexing. External rotation, extend, internal rotation, flex, external rotation, extend, internal rotation, flex. Fantastic. Switch sides. Same thing, find that rotation again. Remember, with everything that we do in class, your goal is to try to understand the task to the best of your ability and replicate the task. It's not to replicate the range of motion of anybody else on the call or myself, right? I do this stuff a lot. So to try to replicate, like, I mean, when you go to a yoga class, your goal is to replicate what the instructor is doing.
the task understanding is what this class is about. My goal is to teach you to move your knee, not try to do your knee like my knee, okay? So left hand is going under left leg, grab right bicep, right hand is behind the knee. Externally rotate, up, internally rotate, down. External rotation, up, internal rotation, down, external rotation, up, internal rotation, down. Very nice. So we're going to stay on left side and we're just going to go through our ankle cars. So gas pedal, pull big toe towards your midline, up to your face, tilt across. We're just going one direction. Nice, big, intentional circles. Try to feel out every single corner, especially after that ankle class we did last week. Your ankles should be feeling buttery. Good. Switch. Gas pedal. Pull up. Nice into that dorsiflex position. Might hear my ankle go as we do this. Remember, snap, crackle, and pop is okay, as long as it's not painful. One more time. Very nice. Okay, so as I mentioned, we're going to create some space with our shoulders. It's also not to say that you shouldn't be practicing your toes. You should be practicing your toe cars too. We have 43 minutes to get as much done as we possibly can, and I want to do that. So taking our block, the position we're going to be in is a sideline position, and we're going to stack our right shoulder on the ground. You're going to find that right shoulder blade, and then we're going to get into a comfortable position here. Okay, so shoulders on top of shoulder, right shoulder blades on the ground. And if you're having trouble finding this stretch, because we're going to be doing this guy, if you're having trouble finding the stretch without the shoulder coming up, you might have to play with orientation of your chest. I'm going to tilt this down so you guys can see. My phone does not want to open. Okay. So now in this position, we've gotten our shoulder blade on the floor. We're in a nice kind of pseudo relaxed position. Your elbow is even with your shoulder, so we don't want it below or above. Your forearm angle is actually tilted in towards you just a little bit, so we don't want to be too far away from our face. We're here, we're grabbing the top of the wrist, not our hand. We're going to call this our control arm, our open hand. So from there, we are pulling down until we feel a nice stretch at the back of the shoulder. Okay, in this position, this might be pretty intense, so you can always relax and start a little bit further back. If you're like already on the floor already, then you might want to open the chest up just a little bit to find a nice line of stretch. There's a distinct possibility that Hunter will join us at some point today. He's supposed to be napping, but we'll see. Breathe and relax into the stretch, that 5-second inhale, 5-second exhale, and a nice 5-second hold can help us to, especially if this is a really, really intense stretch, kind of tune down some of that tension. So funny story. I mean, funny because I was learning about this yesterday, reading a book called The Science of Hypertrophy. I was talking to another trainer about kind of the way that static stretching affects our bodies. And I've talked about it in class before, where like the cells start to line up along the line of tension that we're producing with this stretch. And there's an interesting to me, of course, mechanism of hypertrophy, which is the idea of adding cells to muscles and the idea of increasing size, or in this case, increasing length. So there's something called in-series hypertrophy that actually acts to add cells to the end of a tissue to help to increase its functional length. And my understanding is that this kind of long duration stretching actually is a trigger for that. And then we make it even more intense by adding in these contractions where that tissue gets tension in that fully lengthened position. So I don't know 100% if that's exactly the mechanism that works with this. And I know there's a lot of research that's still being done on this, but I thought that was kind of an interesting thought process, and the idea that we are actually adding muscle mass by adding cells to the end of the fibers. I am also aware that I am a huge dork. So ready? We're going to start to fight our way out of this. Okay. So we're starting to push back. Remember your working arm. So in this case, your right arm is pushing into your control arm. Your control arm is not letting that arm come up. Okay. Squeezing through that stretch. You're going to go from 20% to 40, 40% to 60. We're going to hold at 60% for another 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Slowly relax into that stretch. You may notice that you gained a huge amount of range of motion, and you might notice that you didn't gain any, but that's all right. That just means you're already at the end of where that tissue is ready to add another link to the chain. Breathe and relax. Let that tension start to come down. We're going to go again. This time we're doing both sides of the contraction. First side is pushing into the hand. Second side is actively squeezing the shortened tissue, trying to get closer to the ground. We want to do that without the shoulder blade coming up to our ear. Okay. So we're pushing back 20% to 40, 40% to 60, 60% to 80. To your greatest, safest effort, squeeze the knees together, squeeze your fists, squeeze your face, squeeze everything you've got. If you see a little caricature of me, the head is now turning red, and there's a giant vein busting out of his forehead. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Push down and away. Try to squeeze the shortened tissue as best you can. It's like armpit, chest, lat, everything is trying to internally rotate harder for you. 4, 3, 2, 1. Relax into that stretch. Heart rate should start coming down now. Okay, so this is, like I said, just an opportunity for us to create space in that shoulder joint so we can go ahead and come out of that. Well, that might already be intense. That might already have been a lot of work. We're gonna go ahead and switch sides. Everybody's okay? Nobody had any pain with that?
Nope. Good here.
Addie, shoulder feels all right?
Yeah.
Okay. If at any point you need to stand up and do some of your like lymphatic drainage stuff, please feel free to do so.
I will.
I know you and Donna just worked on that stuff yesterday. So go ahead and again, find that shoulder blade, find that stretch.
So we're on the left side or the right side now?
Yes, we switched over to the left side.
Okay. I have someone distracting me here.
That's all right. The furry child. You know, it's funny though, is like if someone were to say we were all in a group fitness studio and they're all looking through the window like, I wonder what that class is. Everybody's just laying on their side in the fetal position. That doesn't look like a very hard class. And then we all come out of there like sweating,
Yeah.
red in the face, and shoulders are like throbbing. And they're like, what did you guys just do? It's like, oh man, it was so hard. It's like, really? It looked like you were just laying there.
It's so deceptive.
Breathing and relaxing to the stretch. So with this stuff, and I know that as far as internal rotation, so if you've ever been to physical therapy for shoulder related things, they will give you shoulder internal rotation things. They might even have you do this stretch. I wouldn't say it's an issue with that because it is a good stretch, obviously, as we're doing it. but the duration is more what I take issue with. And the idea that they're giving you like 10 or 20 seconds is just kind of enough for your body to like maybe relax a little bit into it, but it's not going to actually like create space in your shoulder unless you spend a significant period of time there like we do, and then actually follow that up with some sort of force input. And the problem that I see with a lot of physical therapy style programs is that they give you a band and they have you try to do this with a band. But if you've never had access to that range of motion before, moving with the band just moves you through a range of motion that you already had access to.
Yeah.
So it
My
doesn't
PT
actually like,
Yeah.
sorry, go ahead.
My PT had me use bands too.
Right. And bands inherently they're not bad. It's a great way to transmit force into tissue, but it doesn't, because it's external load, your body has to work against it to try to get into that end range. And because it's such a small muscle group and it's not like inherently that strong, you're never getting to the point where you're all the way at the end, like this, where we are literally hanging out at the end of our stretch. And then we follow that up with a very high level, very intense contraction where we're squeezing as hard as we can in this. Like that is a training stimulus for your tissue. It has to adapt. It has no choice. It's also done in a safe manner because you are controlling the intensity. If your nervous system doesn't trust you, it won't give you that much force. So let's go ahead and make our nervous system trust us with this first round. So 20% pushing back, 40% pushing back, 60%. Hold at 60, don't go any higher. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Relax into that stretch. And then we're going to go again in about 10 seconds. And again, like there's plenty of people who that physical therapy model has actually truly helped, and that's fantastic. But for those of us who it hasn't helped, stuff like this where you actually are working at your end range, at your max effort. I mean, from a rehabilitative standpoint, I wouldn't have you go to your 80% of your greatest, safest effort, especially post-injury. But you may go to 40% after a couple weeks of doing stuff like this. I think we're going to start to push back. 20% to 40, 40 to 60, 60 to 80. In your greatest, safest effort, squeeze your legs together, squeeze your biceps, squeeze your fists, squeeze your shoulders, squeeze everything. Hold. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Down and away. Squeeze, squeeze. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Slowly relax into that stretch. We'll come out of it in about 10 seconds. Okay, go ahead and gently come out of that stretch because I know that that is intense. Okay, so our next exercise, what we're going to do is we're going to find our structure, table, chair, whatever it is, and we're going to come to a shoulder flexed position. What we don't want is like a fully extended, like chest dropping through, kind of running out of room and feeling pinching. What I want you to try to find is a little bit of a rounded spine. And I want you to find a stretch through your armpit. So it should be right through here. And you can scoot your hips back if you feel like you need to find a little bit more. You may have to play with angle. Your shoulders may feel totally different from one side to the other. So you may have to play with like a side-to-side hip shift. But for the most part, we're looking for thumbs up, hands on the shoulder, hands on the block, or box, or table, whatever you're using. And breathing into this. So last week, my in-person class, I had 4 people around one box. and it looked like some sort of weird wizard ritual. And then as we all started doing as they all started doing the second exercise that we're going to do in this position, where they're all raising their hands up off the block, the same interval, I was like, man, I'm going to cut this to like a song from The Craft.
That's too
Or
funny.
like Lord of the Rings.
That's hilarious.
It's like, man, this looks a lot more controversial than I thought. Looking for that nice big stretch to the shoulder blades, excuse me, to the armpits. Okay, so your pales in this position, and right now you're just listening, so you don't need to worry about doing it, but your pales in this position are pushing down through the table, right? Your goal is to crush the table with your hands, okay? As we do this, you're not trying to raise up, you're trying to stay in this as best you can. Your rails are going to be shoulder fins, right? So remember I said sensation in the shoulder. What I want is the sensation that you're going to lift the arm. What I don't want is the sensation that you're jamming yourself at the bottom and feeling like a pinch in the joint, or sensation like a pinchy thing out here. Okay, so that can mean that we're irritating some of that shoulder, that rotator cuff, which can just lead to some discomfort and some pinch and some pain, which I don't want. So let's go ahead and start our pales, which is that first contraction, squeezing where you feel the stretch. 20% to 40, 40% to 60, 60% to 80, and your greatest, safest effort. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, rails. So as you do this, squeeze your ab, pull from the back of the shoulder stuff, and try to lift the hands. What you'll notice as I'm doing this is I'm kind of rounding more and shrinking back towards my feet. And what I want to do is try to get my shoulders up even higher, biceps to ear kind of situation. 3, 2, 1, relax. That was intense. And also max effort fighting the urge to make my favorite dad joke of all time. Everybody can hear me all right in this position, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Just want to make sure. I know I'm talking into the floor, so I want to make sure it's still coming through clear. Okay, so we're going to do this again. Ready? Pushing down 20% to 40, 40% to 60, 60% to 80, and your greatest, safest effort. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, rails. Back of the shoulder stuff. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Slowly relax that stretch. Oh. So the last thing we're going to do in this exact position is we're going to try to lift the hands. So we actually want to win. What we need to do, though, in order to do that is back off from the end range and make sure you have enough of a running start that we can lift just like a little bit. Like, so I've got this wonderful kids book here. All you're trying to do is lift high enough that you can see my hand just over the book. Because if you go up too high and we just do this, like that's too big of a range of motion. So, but I also don't want you to be so low that you go and it's up 1 and you're done. So we want 10 really good, solid 1 second holds, okay? So in a big deep breath, we're gonna trap that tension that you just created with your breath. We're gonna radiate tension through the rest of our body. So from my head to my toes is a statue. The only thing that's moving are my arms. Ready? We're gonna lift for 1 second. We're gonna parachute back down. Ready? Up, 1, up, 2, up, 3, up, 4, up, 5, up, 6, up, 7, up, 8, up, 9, up, 10. Okay, so from here, you can take your arms down and you can take your arms back for the moment. Yeah, that's a lot. So while we're letting some of the blood return to our arms, what we're going to do for our next one is shoulder extension. And so shoulder extension, again, it looks like this. I am looking to get my arms as far back behind me as I can, sitting up in a tall posture. What I also don't want is your arms to be super wide, unless that's what you can do. But I would like for you to try to get your hands as close to each other as you can, looking for a big stretch through here. Okay, again, we don't want pinchy like back up here, but we want a nice big stretch through the front of the shoulder in this position. Okay, if for whatever reason this doesn't feel comfortable, the nice easy way to do this on the floor looks like this. You're sitting up and we're reaching back into that stretch. Okay, so this is perfectly fine. The only thing that I do see sometimes with this is a little bit of discomfort at the elbows. So if you've got hypermobile elbows, you can do this. You might just have to bend your elbows just a little bit. Okay. So let's everybody find that variation that feels good for them and make sure you've got a really nice stretch. Don't worry, especially because your arms are likely supporting your entire body weight as we do this. You're not going to be lifting from this exact position, but we are going to be hanging out in this stretch for, again, the foreseeable future. Bringing those hands as close together back behind you as you can. And again, a gentle bend through the elbows if you've got hypermobile elbows and you're starting to feel discomfort. So this should be a nice big stretch through your chest. And then we're coming back to our breath.
Hey, Pat. A
Yep.
little tingling in the hand.
Okay.
Is that
So
normal?
it's not necessarily a bad thing. We're reducing blood flow, so you can bend your elbows more if you're doing it on there, or if you're on the table here. Block down. If you're here, you can always back off just a little bit so that you get some blood flow. You can pump your hands. And if you need to at some point, just come out of it for a second, shake your hands out, and then try to get back to that stretch.
Okay.
It usually happens more like here because you've got now your hands are above your heart too.
Yeah.
Like in that position, I actually feel my elbows more. So I'm gonna go back to this guy. But that's a good question. Okay, so now in this position, our pails. So is everybody, okay, so if you're on the floor, what you're trying to do with your pails is actually almost like you're gonna scoot your butt back towards you, but don't actually let your butt scoot towards you. If you have your arms on the bench, you are pushing down through that bench, trying to bring your hands back to your sides, okay? So let's go ahead and start our pails. So 20% squeezing our hands towards our hips. 40%, a little bit harder. 60%, almost like you're trying to bicep curl your arms through the floor. 80%, squeeze your knees together, squeeze your feet, squeeze your face, abs, chest, shoulders. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Rails. So now we're pushing back. We're trying to, if you're on the bench, trying to lift your arms up off the bench. If you're on the floor, you're trying to push your butt even further away from you. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Slowly relax into that stretch. Okay. So we are going to come out of this now. And now the fun part. So this is the part where we get into some tricep crampy things. and some things that might be really, really, really uncomfortable, but we're going to slowly build to these exercises. What we're going to do is we're going to be in a kneeling position. Okay. I know we've been spending a lot of time on this. Again, if it's uncomfortable at all, you can actually do this in a tall kneeling, or you can even do this standing. What we want to avoid is a forward pitch of your torso. So I'm going to slide this here. Okay, so our position is going to look like this. So block, bench, pillow, whatever you've got in this position works fine. What we're going to try to access is lifting up as far into this position as we can. Okay, obviously in this case, my pad fell. So the further forward you lean, the easier this will be. The higher up you are, like in this case, I'm here. All I'm trying to do is lock down this so I can't lean further. And then I'm trying to lift even higher against gravity. Okay. So our goal with this is going to be up and hold as high as we can. Okay. Just get familiar with that part of it. And we're going to layer in more tasks as we go over the next 3 rounds. Okay. So your first task is just lift. Here, give myself this guy. So it's a little bit less than comfortable jamming your forehead into a coffee table. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and start to lift all the way up, 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 up as high as you can. Squeeze, slowly come back down. Up, up, up as high as we can. Squeeze, and come back down. One more time. Up, up, up as high as we can. Squeeze, and come back down. So now your next job is to do internal and external rotation in the shoulder, from the shoulder. Remember, rotating that giant doorknob from the shoulder in shoulder extension. So we're going up as high as we can, and then we're going to open the door, close the door. Keep trying to reach for that beach ball behind your back the whole time. So it looks like this. We're up, internal rotation, external rotation, internal rotation, external rotation, internal, external. Okay, so at that same interval, it's like 1 to 2 seconds per rep. Internal to external, external to internal. We're doing 5 reps. Okay, so ready with me? We're lifting up, squeeze that beach ball. Externally rotate, internally rotate. Squeeze harder, internally rotate, or excuse me, externally rotate and open up as far as you can. Internally rotate, pinkies are to the floor, thumb is up to the ceiling, externally rotate. Internally rotate, externally rotate, internally rotate. One more time, and externally rotate, and down. Oh. I feel like a thing. Okay, so your next job, we are going to reach back as high as you possibly can, and we are going to bend our elbows. What's going to happen is that that's actually going to unlock a little bit more shoulder extension. Your next challenge is to extend the elbows without letting the elbow drop or the arm drop back down towards your hips. So again, we're doing 5 hinges, elbow hinges. So we're going up with straight arms as high as you can. Bend the elbow, bicep curl. Slow and controlled. You see how my elbows went up a little bit higher? Hold them there. And extend back. Okay, 5 reps. Ready? Arms are up as high as you can go. Reach a little bit higher. Squeeze that beach ball. Bend the elbows. Keep dragging the elbows up to the ceiling. Arms are in our armpits, or fists are in our armpits. Reach back. Extend, extend, extend. 2. Flex. Extend, extend, extend. 3. Flex. Extend, extend, extend. 4. Flex. Extend, extend, extend. 5. and flex. And let those arms come back down. Oh. You can never say I'm not practicing what I'm preaching, because I'm doing this right along with you. We've got time for one extra fun awfulness. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go to end range rotation. So I was right. What that looks like, rather than this, which is we call like an axial rotation, which is rotation from inside the joint, we are going to do small circles like this. We are going to do them at the end of our shoulder flexion here, and we're going to do them at the end of our shoulder extension here. So you can do this laying on your stomach. You can do this coming back to the table where we did our passive range liftoffs. So if you're on your stomach, it's going to look like this. Up, 2. Okay. If you're at the table, you're here, we're up, and we're doing our circles. Okay. So find the version that you are going to try, because this should be very, very, very challenging. Again, no pain, pinchy in the top of the shoulder. Okay. Okay. Ready? We're going to do 10 circles clockwise, 10 circles counterclockwise. And you are going to try to coordinate limbs as best you can. Okay, ready? Radiate that tension through our core. Push the feet down into the floor. Lift. 10 circles clockwise. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 counterclockwise. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. I'm not gonna lie, that was hard. Okay, so coming back up to our shoulder extension. So again, forehead to the block, forehead to the pillow, forehead to the floor or to the bench, or just come up as tall as you can and don't lean over, which is, they're all bad. Okay, so again, 10 clockwise, 10 counterclockwise. We're ready, and we're up into shoulder extension and circles. Or you can even do reverse or alternating or opposite sides. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Reach up higher. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Perfect timing. Time for some breath work. Okay, so in terms of a comfortable position, whatever helps you not feel the overwhelming weight of your arms after that one. You can relax like here. I usually like the give me my arms back, which is kind of something along these lines. Lay on your side in the fetal position, whatever feels comfortable for you, just so you don't have to support the weight of your arms. So we're looking for a nice balanced inhale, exhale with a balanced hold on each end. 5 seconds in. Hold. 3, 4, 5. 5-second exhale. 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold. 2, 3, 4, 5. In. 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold. 2, 3, 4, 5. Out. 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold. 2, 3, 4, 5. In. 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold. 2, 3, 4, 5. Out. 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold. 2, 3, 4, 5. We're going to go ahead and continue that for the next 2 minutes.